Yesterday, I went outside in my backyard, took my shoes and socks off, sat down in the yard chair, planted my feet in the ground, and enjoyed some nature. Mind you, it was gloomy out. Gray clouds, no sun, little bit of sprinkling. Like it was getting ready to rain, dreary, dull. I admit, the weather looked like me when I don't get my coffee in the morning. But then I began to think, see, myself and most people I knew while growing up with never called the day beautiful when it looked like it did outside. How come? Duh, that's easy. We don't want to get wet. Yeah, pretty simple. Shallow, right? Surface-like. But let's peel back the layers, shall we? 60% of our bodies is made of water, yet we don't want to get wet. We live on water to avoid dehydration, yet we don't want to get wet. Oxygen is also in water, supporting every breath we breathe, but yet we don't want to get wet. But sometimes we do, though. We have swimming pools, hot tubs, saunas. The thing is it depends on what? Well, mood, enjoyment, occasion, temperature, even though we are 60% of water. So concerning whether we get that water or not depends. But let me point out the truth that may or may not be already circulating in the room so as to not circumvent the fact that it is circumstantial, but instead circle it like an elephant in the circus, or better yet, like a pencil with homework, as to acknowledge it. This truth is that it switches and does a 180 when it's a matter of life and death. We can't even word it like it depends, and the reason for that is now we depend on water. Like those in third world countries, we depend on it for survival. Yet how much percentage of God are we? Being made in his image and likeness, more than 60 for sure, but just like with water, we must ask ourselves, does it depend on anything else whether or not we're getting him? Brace yourselves as I make this a little bit more personal. Sometimes I want God, and sometimes I don't. Just like that great thirst quencher he blessed us with. But the world in its present form is passing away, and that water too will fade away. But there's a water that never dies. To spell holy, you have to go from H to O, then L to Y. This water is living, of whom a woman who is headed to a well to get water that is fleeting was one of the earliest recipients, and I bet you she ain't thought of a well since. The elements of the earth that sustain us are great, but the attributes of our God that sustain us are even greater. I'm thankful for the water that we're able to drink, but I'm more thankful for the water that won't leave me thirsty again. Plants support our breathing, but our earthly father Adam's soul came into being by the breath of our God's nostrils. I love the sun's heat, brightness, and the vitamins it gives, but I love the sun's light that shines brighter than all the lights in the solar system there is. Yes, Christ. Him and the sun are very much alike in essence, so maybe a rainy, gloomy day is when you can't feel his presence. But if the seasons change, that makes both the sunny days and the rainy days usual. And without the gloomy days, how can we appreciate the ones that are beautiful? Yes, Christ. He is the Word, and the Word is Christ. David said the Word was a lamp unto his feet because the Word is light, comparable to the sun, but much more bright. We don't normally see wolves who like to wear our clothes howling at the sun when it's at its height. Yes, the ones our Lord said to watch out for, they come out at night. But as his sheep, we have nothing to be afraid of. There's a difference between fear and alertness of sight. Because Psalm 19 says the sun is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and there is nothing hidden from the sun's heat, and there is nothing hidden from Christ. And he is our bridegroom who rose out of the chamber of death to give us life. Yes, Christ.